Hey there YouTube, Wrestling Optimus here. It's All Out Weekend and AEW has a ton going on, but in the middle of all that goodness, there's still some WWE action over on Fox. That's right, it's time for Smackdown. But first, if you're new here, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. You can also talk to me over on Twitter, at PSUOptimus, or see all of my best figure photography on Instagram, at Wrestling Optimus. For now, we're headed into the Thunderdome! So for a review and some fantasy booking, let's take it over to the action figures. Things kick off with the new Universal Champion Roman Reigns and his new manager Paul Heyman. Instead of wreck everyone and leave, his shirt now reads, show up and win. By the way, his new pyro looks awesome in the Thunderdome. Roman stands silently holding his belt and stares daggers into the hard cam while Paul cuts a promo. Heyman says he was gone, but Roman brought him back because of how they were both mistreated by WWE. Through life-threatening illnesses, Reigns has over-delivered time and time again, and what thanks does he get? When he asks for a little time off, they give his title to The Fiend. A Fiend is not born to reign as champion. A monster is not born to reign as champion. They both do terrible things. No, a champion needs to schmooze with the public. He needs to embody family, tradition, and legacy. He needs to be someone like Roman Reigns. Since Raw had a triple threat, SmackDown is going to have a fatal four-way to determine their number one contender for Clash of Champions. Finally, we find out that Heyman is no longer an advocate. He now serves as special counsel to the self-proclaimed tribal chief. This promo was incredible. Paul still got it, and he's the perfect mouthpiece for Roman, so we never have to hear another scripted, suffering succotash promo again. Roman takes the mic and says he's a man of his word, who does exactly what he says he'll do, and he's proven it. He doesn't care who he faces at Clash of Champions because this is his island, and when you have his power, all you have to do is show up and win. So that's what the shirt was all about. I guess we're giving up on the whole yard and big dog concept. Meh, I say good riddance. Backstage, Roman runs into Jey Uso, who questions his trust in Paul Heyman. Reigns just says not to worry, he's got it all figured out. Jey reminds him that the Usos always have his back. Well, isn't this a fun little bit of foreshadowing? Heavy Machinery is out to take on Miz and Morrison. Corey has a great line, claiming that Otis is just taking out his frustrations over the recent Taco Bell menu changes. It's a short TV match that ends when Otis hits the Caterpillar and a Vader bomb on Miz for the win. Afterwards, Morrison steals the Money in the Bank briefcase and runs off, seemingly believing he's now Mr. Money in the Bank. I'm honestly a little bothered by the whole Money in the Bank situation. It feels like they only gave it to Otis as a joke. Now WWE seems to have forgotten about him. That doesn't mean I think he should cash in on Roman, it just means they never should have given it to Otis in the first place. My fantasy booking would have been for Aleister Black to win Money in the Bank. Slowly build him up as a silent, contemplative figure with allusions to the occult, and a finishing move that always wins. But in a non-title match with the Universal Champion, I'd have the Fiend shockingly kick out of the Black Mass. Desperate, Aleister would wait until after the Fiend was weakened, maybe in the Swamp match, to cash in. Then, he'd spend his entire title reign paranoid of the Fiend, avoiding a fair fight, knowing that he can't win legitimately. It's classic cowardly heel psychology that works every time. We cut to a birthday cake with Big E, Drew Gulak, and the Lucha House Party celebrating in the locker room area. E explains that Xavier Woods is back tonight to host the revival of Talking Smack, and it's also his birthday. Then a security guard informs him that Woods has arrived. Big E takes the cake over to a loading dock where Sheamus hits him with a surprise brogue kick. Then, the Celtic Warrior drags E on top of a nearby car and delivers a white noise onto the windshield. After a commercial break, medics are tending to E while Kayla Braxton says he's suffered major internal injuries. Sheamus comes over and she asks if this ambush had anything to do with his loss to Big E at Payback. Sheamus claims self-defense. He also says that if Big E wants to compete for the Universal Championship, he's gonna have to stay more focused and stop fooling around with his friends. He finishes by feigning concern for E and heads off to prepare for the Fatal 4-Way. Make that a triple threat. Bayley and Sasha are in the backstage ring. They're asked about their tumultuous week in which they lost 3 of their 4 belts. They say they weren't able to prepare for a brand new tag team like Shayna and Nia, but now they've got the champs figured out, and tonight they're going to win. The interviewer points out that Bayley has tapped out to Shayna 3 times in a row now. Sasha acts offended by this and makes an overly dramatic show of her friendship with Bayley. Compensating much? They say they're going to win back their titles tonight. Adam Pearce gives us an update on Big E. He will not be in the Fatal 4-Way tonight, and officials are deciding on a replacement. Paul Heyman creeps in to have a word with Adam. Next, the new Women's Tag Team Champions defend their belts in a payback rematch against the former champs. Shayna and Nia actually look really intimidating during their entrance. There's a great spot early on where they each grab an opponent and take turns swinging them into the barricades. Baszler strategically targets Bayley's shoulder and Sasha's leg, while Nia's most effective move seems to be simply no-selling everything. Shayna surprisingly kicks out of the elbow drop and the Bayley to belly before getting put in the bank statement. Nia breaks it up with the weakest looking kick I've ever seen. Eventually, Jax hits a double crossbody off the second rope to pin both Bayley and Banks and retain. We come back from a commercial and Sasha is still getting medical attention in the ring. She shoves away all the paramedics and turns to Bayley for help. But out of nowhere, Bayley kicks Sasha in the face. She brutalizes her around ringside, slamming the injured leg into various things like the ring steps. She screams at Cole, "Is it boss time, Michael?" as she rams Sasha's face into the mat. Then Bayley gets a chair and after some fighting puts Sasha's head into it. She climbs to the second rope and jumps down, crushing Banks' throat. Medics come out a second time. Between this and the Big E angle, they're getting lots of screen time tonight. After the commercial, Sasha is loaded into an ambulance. The WWE Wreckin' ambulance is out and looks amazing, but it's $40. I've contemplated buying it the last few times I've been in the store, but I keep balking at the price. It comes with a stretcher, and I totally could have used that for tonight's pictures. I'm definitely regretting not getting that now. This is a big swerve, because I think everyone expected Sasha to get jealous of Bayley's title and attack her, not the other way around. It's definitely interesting, but I have no clue what Bayley's motivations are. Hopefully she explains in a fire promo next week. Sami Zayn comes out carrying his version of the Intercontinental Championship. He chastises Greg Hamilton for not addressing him as the champ. Then, he gets on a headset and does the same to the production truck for not including the correct graphics. Jeff Hardy comes out with his version of the belt and claims to be the rightful champion. That triggers AJ Styles' music. He comes down and says he's the uncrowned champion. With all 3 men in the ring, a brawl breaks out immediately. AJ attacks Jeff before receiving a twist of fate. Then Sami hits Jeff with a haluva kick to stand tall. Sami is my favorite WWE superstar, and I love everything he does, even if it's objectively trash, because he always manages to somehow pull it off. However, why not give him something juicy to sink his teeth into for a change? Team him back up with Cesaro and Shinsuke, but add in Cesaro's old buddy from the bar, Sheamus, to form a new League of Nations. If you legitimize Sami's Intercontinental title, they would already have 3 belts and could dominate a pretty weak SmackDown roster. Then, Roman could come in as an anti-hero badass and wreck them the way Stone Cold used to run down heel factions. Plus, a Sami Zayn vs. Paul Heyman promo off would be epic. It's announced that the replacement for Big E in the Fatal 4-Way is none other than Roman's cousin, Jey Uso. Then, we see a quick clip of a woman walking in high heels set to sexy music with zero context. Okay? Heavy Machinery are in the locker room. Tucker is angry that he can't find Miz and Morrison to get the Money in the Bank briefcase back, but Otis says not to worry. He keeps the actual contract in his Money in the Bank lunchbox. Meanwhile, Miz is trying to explain to Morrison that having the briefcase doesn't make you Mr. Money in the Bank. Morrison begs to differ, but when he opens the briefcase, all he finds is a sandwich. Jey Uso visits Roman, who's chillin' on a couch in a noticeably nicer locker room. He thanks his cousin for getting him into the Fatal 4-Way match, but Roman admits it was actually Paul's doing. Reigns says he wins everything and he knows Jimmy Uso would win this match, so let's see if Jay can win something on his own this time. Matt Riddle is already in the ring when King Corbin comes out. He claims the match has been tainted by nepotism. Riddle attacks him on the ramp and they're quickly joined by Sheamus. This would have made more sense if Sheamus was the one complaining, seeing as he took out Big E in an attempt to make this a triple threat. Oh well, Jey Uso also runs out to join in the fray. The match does not officially start. After a commercial break, we go to the Firefly Funhouse. Bray is down in the dumps because the Fiend lost his favorite toy again. But don't worry, next week we're going to be introduced to a brand new friend. Bye! Nikki Cross is watching a TV backstage. Alexa walks in and says she's sorry about the mug last week. Nikki forgives her, but before she can say anything else, Alexa gives her a big creepy hug and walks off. Throughout the segment, Rambling Rabbit is peeking out from behind some crates in the background. Is Alexa's new persona going to be the new Firefly Funhouse character? Oh my god, yes, take my money now! Our main event is the fatal four-way they've been building to all night. In typical fashion, the heels form a temporary alliance early on to take out the babyfaces. Riddle and Jey Uso battle back though, right before Sheamus turns his back on Corbin. At one point, Corbin fights with Jey in front of the wall of fan screens, then throws him over the first few rows. Crowd brawls certainly look different at the Thunderdome. Back in the ring, Corbin gets knocked down. Matt Riddle heads to the top rope and hits a floating bro, but Jey Uso comes out of nowhere with the splash to get the victory and become the number one contender. We're getting cousin vs. cousin at Clash of Champions. In a promo after the match, Jey Uso says he just made the family proud too. He tells Roman it's lockdown in the Uso penitentiary. I admit it, I'm an AEW fanboy. Combined with all the quality content they've given us lately, I've kinda checked out of WWE. A fantastic show tonight could have drawn me back in, but unfortunately that's not what we got. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't terrible, but WWE certainly didn't do anything to draw my attention away from the stacked weekend AEW has put together. Honestly, I enjoyed tonight's special episode of Dark more than this episode of Smackdown. Still, I guess that's to be expected. This was just another night for WWE, while AEW is treating it like WrestleMania weekend. Did you know there's 2 red carpets tomorrow? Either way, I'll be very interested to see the ratings and what others on YouTube thought about tonight. Well, that'll do it for another episode of Smackdown. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know what you thought of the show down in the comments. Obviously, I'll be back tomorrow with my action figure review of All Out, so be sure to check back then. As always, if you found me and enjoyed the video, make sure to do all that normal YouTube stuff. Smash the like button, share with any wrestling or action figure fans you may know, subscribe to the channel, and spread the word. Again, you can talk to me over on Twitter at PSUOptimus, but until next time, I've been Wrestling Optimus, and I'll catch you later.